Hello and welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. How's it going, everybody? Well, I like to get my podcast started always with a moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer. So if you will, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, well, let's get started. Well, how's everybody doing today? Thank you for joining in. I guess, you know how I like to always pick a little topic of what I'm going to talk about or something that I've gone through or whatever's been bothering me in the week, that sort of thing. But I wanted to talk to you about, I guess, the life problems and how they affect you in recovery and in the addiction, and what to do and how to do things to cope with it, and keep motivated and stay in that positive realm because it's a tough road. It is something that isn't easy to do. So I wanted to kind of just touch on that and kind of give you a little story of an incident that happened while I was at a bus stop. And well, I'm at this bus stop, right? And I'm sitting there minding my own business. I'm going through my phone waiting for this bus to get there. And a gentleman approaches the bus stop. He's going to catch the bus too, but you can tell he's irate, and he's just, he's talking, kind of talking to himself in a sense, or just out loud, right? And, saying negative things. Something's bothering him, obviously, but he's talking in a third person, I guess, per se, and talking about what event he had just, been through, what life had just thrown at him. And I'm listening to the guy, and he sparks up conversation with me, and tells me that he'd been incarcerated for about 25 years, just got out, and he's talking about how the system, quote unquote, claims to help, but they're not helping because you can't. Because he goes, there's always something that somebody's always trying to bring you down, and he's being pretty aggressive and detailed in his conversation as far as what is bothering him and what he's mind out loud thinking of, how he wants to deal with the problem in a sense, and what he wants to do, but what he's gonna do, I guess, is a good way to explain it. And I've found myself in my world of recovery and addiction always thinking out loud and thinking about doing something, and actually going through the process of doing whatever it is that I'm going to do to, control that situation at that particular time. And usually the comparison is totally different. You talk a lot of crap in a sense of what you want to do, but you have the mindset and knowing right from wrong of what you're gonna do. So, but nonetheless, I could tell that this guy's troubled about what he's going through, and he refers to things as how he's naming his mother and his father and his siblings, and he's saying that his mother and his father are putting things between him and his siblings so that they're turning against each other in a sense. And he goes to a reference as far as speaking out loud, saying that you don't want me to go there because I will go there. I will, quote unquote, he used the reference kill. He goes, I'll kill them if it means that I don't have to deal with this. And, and he's telling me that he's telling this to the mom and the dad. And I'm thinking, wow, your life, the things that you're going through and the obstacles that that you're trying to get over are that critical and that, severe that you're thinking about killing siblings. And I'm thinking, wow, it is, I'm thinking, well, gosh, my problems aren't that bad then, you know what I mean? And so I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, wow, what has to go through a person's mind, and what that they're ultimately thinking about doing something that drastic. And I always go back to referring to things that I hear Dr. Gabor Mate talk about, the traumatic experiences and the toxic culture that we live in. And I can remember one of the things I saw in a podcast or read in a book, one or the other, about what Dr. Gabor Mate said, that people will always say that, oh, this is happening because you're making me do this. Or they're always looking for this crutch, in a sense, this excuse to validate their actions. But never or hardly ever does somebody say, I'm allowing this to happen. I'm allowing this to bother me this much. Because ultimately it is yourself who is in charge of that. You know what I mean? The one thing that you have control over, no matter if you're locked up or if you're out in the street or your life is going, A-okay and you're on top of the world, no matter where you're at, you could have a person who is successful and wealthy, a person who is poor, a person who's barely making it, a person who's homeless, a person who's addicted on drugs, a person who is has an eating disorder, a person who's in jail, who just got out of jail. It didn't matter. The situation, what all these people in all these different situations have in common is that they are in control of their own mind and their own thoughts. So if you put yourself in negative situations, in those negative boundaries, and allow yourself to intertwine with that, then you're putting boundaries in your mind, in a sense. You're putting blinders up to not be open to different healthy boundaries and different healthy things to cope with those things. Because ultimately you and I have the control to, feel and act accordingly to whatever situation life brings, right? So in my personal experience, if I didn't want to deal with a problem that was really taking toll on me, mentally or physically, and I was allowing myself to get into these isolated and depressed moods, and what I would do so that I wouldn't feel that was I would go use. And I kept the blinders on, in a sense, to just go that far with it. I wasn't taking those blinders off and allowing myself to see the broad spectrum of the things that I could do to remedy that situation at that particular time. And I could go back now and think about situations that I was in, and knowing what I did And looking back at it now, I realized, wow, you had a vast amounts of opportunities and things that you could have done to better that situation or to put yourself in a different predicament. And so, it is an easy thing to do to stay in that negative and addictive world, whether you're addicted to drugs or whether you're addicted to sex, whether you're addicted to, video games, whether you're addicted to eating, whether you're addicted to shopping. Well, it doesn't matter. Whatever the addiction is, ultimately, you're always looking for that crutch so that you give yourself an excuse to stay in that realm. And that is just part of the neurological brain diseases addicts that we have. That's one of the things that it's I call it like a default, safe mode, in a sense, that because you feel safe and comfortable in that environment, that's what remedies your feelings at that particular time and moment, and it gives you that fast relief. So you do it. You do the addictive thing that you're doing, and so you're basically walking through life with your head down, just looking one way, and it's just that way, just the addictive way. And listening to this gentleman's story while he's sitting there at the bus, and I don't know where he was going or what he was going to do, but I know that his mindset was in aggressive mode. It was in aggression mode, and it was in mode of all of these things are making my life this way. So he has blinders on right now, that he's not allowing himself to think in the broad spectrum of why is this happening? What can I do to alleviate that? What can I do in a positive sense to get myself into these positive and healthy boundaries so that I'm not thinking the way I'm thinking? And, so there's people that are going through that every single day. And, it's sad that there's not a lot of things that's out there to help people like that. Dr. Gabor Mate gave the statistic that every month, I believe it was every month, that there's a 9/11 happening every month in the world of addiction. And what he's referring to that is that in 9/11 there was X amount of deaths, which was a little over 3,000 deaths that were in 9/11. Well, every month there's that many deaths of drug overdoses, and there is nothing being done about it. It's not talked about. It's not. It's barely starting to get into the mainstream media, if you will, that there's this problem, that there's this epidemic with that, with drugs, and mainly due to the fentanyl and prescription drugs usage. That I don't know what the demographics or the age is, but for it to be 3,000 and something, almost 4,000 people a month dying from drug overdoses that nobody's even talking about, that nobody's even, putting in the medical field classroom, that, you need to deal with this traumatic experiences in humans. That's not talked about. That's not part of the curriculum, and that's why you have these doctors and psychiatrists always giving you a little bit of this and a little bit of that to figure out what it is that's going to chemically balance your mindset so that it helps you in life. And just like me, I got PTSDs. I was diagnosed with PTSDs, and I take a medication for the traumatic nightmares that I have, and I take the other medication for the sleep disorder that I have because I can't fall asleep because I don't want to sleep and start dreaming the ugly things that go on in my dreams. So it's kind of hand in hand there, and so they don't know what the dosage is. They said, here, just take this for now, and in 3 months we'll evaluate you and see where you are. Well, I can tell you right now that when I started taking the medicine for the nightmares, my nightmares have lessened. They have decreased, but the intensity of the ones that I do have are so real and vivid that it's just like going to a theater, watching a movie at the theater, and then going to watching the same movie at the IMAX theater. That's the difference for me personally. So it's intense. So when something is that intense while you're asleep, well, guess what? It's happening. Your stress levels as you're sleeping are heightened, and stress has an ill effect on the body when it's overexerted, in the sense that you're stressing so bad it's not a normal stress, like, oh, I gotta, set my alarm because I gotta get up in the morning and make sure I don't miss this appointment. That's a level of stress, but that's a healthy stress. Now, stress like this is like fight or flight stress. So when your body goes through that fight or flight stress, it heightens everything in your body. So that in turn goes from, all these stress levels, that your heart racing and your, organs start overworking themselves. They start getting, overexerted. It starts, doing all this inflammatory stuff. So it's a domino effect, right? I'm not a doctor, so I can't explain to you everything that happens, but those sort of things happen. And those are just things that I know of because of the research I've done through the studies that Dr. Gabor Mate has spoken of and shares in his podcast and in his books. So, I know those to be true because he's done the research, right? But nonetheless, to me, it's just like going back to the story with this gentleman at the bus stop. I think, gosh, man, how many people are out there in the world who are basically giving up and saying, you know what, I'd rather stay here in this addictive state because I'm comfortable. And then how many people are there in that addictive, comfortable state that they then are part of the statistic of a 9/11 happening every 30 days. You know what I mean? So it's an ongoing problem, and that's one of the reasons that I do my podcast. So just to kind of give awareness and to try to share stories that could possibly help somebody get into that first realm, getting to the first rung of that ladder to climb way out of that dark, deep, depressed hole that you're in, and come to this side of recovery and positivity, because I'm telling you, it is a great place to be, because I've been there in that dark freaking realm that is just evil and scary and just so stressful that, sometimes you feel like it's the end of the world and you just don't want to get up. And you just want to give up and just say, F it, I'd rather not be here than keep living my life this way. But I can tell you through experience and through being there and doing that there is a better way. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. And the pastures are a little bit more greener on this side, and things are looking up for me personally in my life. There's things that are happening that I would have never been able to do had I just stayed there in that world of addiction. So I'm excited that I'm on this side of the fence in a sense, and so I encourage you to, if you're ready, if you're done, if you're tired of whatever it is that you're tired of, in whatever part of addiction you are, whether it's drugs, whether it's sex, whether it's video games, whether it's eating disorders, it doesn't matter. If you're tired of it, there's help for you. And all you have to do is take that first step and, talk to somebody about it. Talk to somebody positive about it. Don't talk to anybody negative about it. Don't talk to somebody that you know is going to give you this, ill, negative answer. Talk to somebody who has been there, who has done that, and who is willing to help you. Because ultimately, my brothers and sisters, you need help. Because it's not something that you could do on your own. It's very far and few between people that get out of any type of addiction on their own. It's always with the help of someone. And so I encourage you to listen to these podcasts, listen to my videos, listen to my stories, and if not mine, listen to somebody else's stories. Listen to Dr. Gabor Mate's story, because he is also an addict, and which is why I enjoy listening to him, because it's someone who has gone through these traumatic experiences and who has lived his life and was able to get out of it and get into this positive realm of recovery and positivity. He's got an extraordinary message, that man does. So I have a lot of respect for that dude, and so I use a lot of his things in my life in the positive way. So that's one of my things, is doing the due diligence of service work and giving away what has helped me along the way to get here. So if I can help just one person by doing these videos and podcasts, then hey, you know what? My due diligence is working, and it's good. It's a healthy thing. So it's therapy for me, number one, and it keeps me moving in a positive direction. So I always like to kind of give a shout out to some of the peer support groups and meetings that I attend here in San Antonio, Texas, so that maybe somebody out there can go and just sit in on a meeting, hear somebody's story, and maybe it resonates with you, and it gets you that first step in coming over to this side of the world of recovery and positivity. So so if you're out in the downtown area, San Antonio, on the west side, the Esperanza group is one of them. In the northwest end of town is the Winners Club. In the north central side of town is Club 12. And in the southeast side of town is the Goliath group. I know people in all these locations. You got great people out in those locations. They will show you love. They won't turn you away. I can guarantee it. And if nobody hasn't told you today that they care, that they love you, well, you know what, my brothers and sisters, I care and I love you. And I care what happens to you, and hope to see you on this side of the world of recovery and positivity. And please, if you would, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, give me a thumbs up, shoot me a message, hit the bell, share my podcast with somebody. And I'm trying to get my podcast out there, because I got a few other projects in the works that's coming up, and I got this thing that I'm working on to do a collaboration with someone. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy it, because it's comical in a sense, but it's therapy and it's good. But I can't wait to get it started. But I need the help and support of all of you guys. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and help me launch these things off. And I got this the 5K run that I want to do here in a few, in the near future. So if I could use all the help I could get. So again, I appreciate you guys looking out and hitting those buttons for me. It don't cost you a thing. All you got to do is tap, and you help me out. So I appreciate that. I guess till the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.